the community, we haven't had much money going toward things that really matter, like education and extracurricular activities that many students need in order to stay out of drugs and alcohol.
You know, and along the lines, they've lost their job, their hours have been decreased, they've gotten on unemployment, and now their unemployment has run out.
Many folks in low-income communities and communities of color are people who walk. Our lack of investment in pedestrian infrastructure hurts their ability to get places, including transit and local stores.
Lack of decent, affordable housing, lack of access to good schools and to good, reliable transportation. I also think, frankly, it is institutions and structures in place that were born of either racism or classism that are still in place, even though, you know, public opinion has evolved over time. The structures that came about as a result of, say, racial segregation are still there.
I don't think there's the political will to really address the real challenges that are facing parts of our urban communities, which are largely poor and largely people of color.
And poverty and race and ethnicity are inextricably linked. And it's beginning to affect the entire economy as the economy slows down, because you can't have so many people outside the economy and just expect them to consume when they have nothing to earn.
I think that inherent in a capitalist model is that everyone has access to capital, you know, and that's not necessarily an accurate thing. I think that we have to really understand that there are no bootstraps to pull yourself up by right now. Certain things should be a right, like healthcare and housing and things like that. So I know that's a little more controversial these days, but I think that every community owes a certain level of friendship, trust to their neighbors, and that they're just basic things that go along with being part of a nice community. And that's to make sure that everyone can participate and everyone has safe, affordable housing, healthcare, childcare, education, the key things that you know you need in order to make a life for yourself.
I think we have a world where everyone is honored for what it is, for their own special skills, for what they can do. That everyone has the ability to contribute.
You would have every child in our country waking up every morning knowing that if they did what they were supposed to do, that they followed the rules and they worked hard and they had a dream and a vision, that that vision had a serious chance of becoming their personal reality.
Our region would be a place where a person's job or socioeconomic status, their ethnic background, their race, gender, job classification, those things would not dictate. Those wouldn't be a sentence to live in a bad neighborhood or have bad health outcomes or not have educational opportunities. That everyone, at the very least, would have those basic things.
So I think the biggest issue that I'm working to address right now is how do you not look at a community the same way that it's been looked at. So I guess what we mean by that is how do we now look at a region and the context in which that community fits in that region.
to do regional equity requires coalition, right? I mean, there's so many different issues that are part of regional equity, and there's so many different levels of the geography, from micro down to, you know, block by block kinds of issues, to neighborhoods, to communities, to cities, to counties, to the region as a whole, and the way that the region is embedded in the state. All those kind of levels require coalitions.
One, every organization I know, and Walk Sacramento is typical, is over-missioned and under-resourced. So by working together, it helps us leverage a lot of our work.
There is no need to duplicate efforts. There's not enough resources, to be honest, to do that. So I think that we got to get smart. We got to get real smart, and we got to really have a unified voice if we're going to be loud enough to be heard.
If we're to, in fact, operate as a democracy, we need to recognize when it is we need to band together to get those basic services, basic societal needs. I think that it began when we saw housing advocates showing up at city council meetings throughout the region to talk about their particular projects. But one evening we would see environmentalists show up, and they would be talking about similar projects. And then we would see civil rights advocates show up, and they would be talking about land use from a different perspective. And it just seemed that our voices were fragmented. We weren't speaking with one voice. It would be amazing if we could sort of find the way to join these voices, or find a way that we could have a common strategic goal. And we had to recognize the importance of them speaking in their own language to keep their group together. If you put the language aside and you say, but what is it you want? We all wanted the same thing with regard to land use. And that was essentially the birth of CORE.
I mean, CORE is really about a collective vision amongst a whole range of different organizations and individuals that recognize that we were stronger as a whole.
I would encourage people to get involved with CORE and to bring their own, particular expertise and passion and networks and relationships.
I think it's a great opportunity to build relationships with new people and people doing interesting work. When I say that, I mean specifically the convening and working with CORE. It's an opportunity to get out of the silos a little bit and build relationships with other people and to learn, as well as becoming more effective at the work we do.
If we all put our strengths together, everyone can come out as better people.